This video is based on Lingshan Hermit's work. This kind of traditional China is beginning to revive. All rights reserved. Any infringement will be pursued. We live in an age in which artificial intelligence iterates at breakneck speed, in which a tide of anti-globalization is surging up, and in which the truth about extraterrestrials is on the verge of official disclosure. In this age you can buy the vegetables, dental floss, and shampoo you want without ever getting out of bed. You can speak directly to your beloved car and have it raise the temperature of the air conditioning. You can have Codex turn all your documents into videos. You can watch, on your phone, people dancing wildly on the other side of the earth. Humanity seems to have arrived at the eve of the fourth industrial revolution, seems to have drawn near to an age of immense abundance and convenience. Yet it is precisely the existence of this convenience that makes us more susceptible than ever to the influence of the Demon King, because the Demon King is exploiting this convenience too, is using these very tools. In this age the demon is occupying our brains at a speed never seen before, and so we are taught that we may trust only ourselves and can trust no one else. We are taught that a person should love themselves with their whole heart, should live in whatever way they please without regard for the feelings of others. We are taught to be extremely selfish, extremely self-centered, and extremely self-protective. You are told not to be warm, not to take the initiative, not to talk deeply, not to show weakness, that this is how we protect ourselves. What we do not realize is that it is precisely this self-protection that makes us appear especially feeble and lacking in confidence. And so in this age nearly everyone presupposes that others will hurt them, will exploit them, will deceive them, and so everyone prepares all manner of defenses in advance, wanting to ensure that they will not be harmed. The method they devise is to think out beforehand how they will respond should the other person wish to hurt them, or else to keep a sufficient distance so that the other person cannot reach them. This method may be of some use, but it also utterly severs any possibility of your establishing a truly deep relationship with anyone, because you have treated all people as untrustworthy. This makes you unable to love, unable to open yourself, unable to feel real affection, unable to give and still less to receive, leaving all your relationships to float upon the surface. You love no one and trust no one. You cannot truly communicate with anyone, and this casts you into a loneliness and helplessness without precedent. In this age, in order to protect ourselves, the problems we must consider are I do not know how many times more numerous than those our forebears faced. We are told not to eat things given to us by strangers, not to tell others our home address, not to click on unfamiliar links, to take care when staying at a hotel whether there is a hidden camera in the room, to wait until the food delivery courier has gone before opening the door, to learn how to tell real eggs from fake ones, and so on. We must assume that everyone is a bad person, assume that everyone is a potential enemy, and ponder the various ways in which the other person might harm us. And so you dare not marry, dare not drink a beverage that has left your sight for even a few minutes, dare not answer calls from unknown numbers. For fear of being accused of rape you dare not lightly go to bed with anyone, even to help up an elderly person who has fallen. You must first, trembling with apprehension, record a video. This is precisely why a love letter to Grandma feels so especially moving in this age, for within it lies something that most of us have already lost yet still long for in our hearts. It is something within the genetic makeup of our Han culture being touched, beginning slowly to thaw and revive. The bond among Zinanzi, Zheng Musheng, and Yi Shirao, their willingness to bear responsibility and their steadfast constancy, have become exceedingly rare in contemporary China. In recent years we have grown accustomed to seeing all too much self-righteous greed and selfishness, all too much counterfeit sincerity, all too many people without any sense of shame, all too much shrewdness and pettiness and calculated maneuvering, all too much betrayal and heartlessness. We have seen that nearly everyone around us is like this, seen ourselves slowly becoming like this too, seen ourselves growing inured to it all, and come to imagine that humanity has always been thus, that among people there is only the exchange of interests and no true bond of affection. This film lets us see our own degeneration over the past 100-odd years. See how abnormal we have become. See the distance between ourselves and the traditional Chinese. See the genuine bonds of affection that exist among human beings. See how our ancestors once lived. If you have wisdom enough to observe and to trace things to their source, you will discover that these changes that have come over the Chinese people derive almost entirely from the influence of the far side of the ocean, from the fishing and hunting tribal cultures of the borderlands, and by no means from the orthodox traditional culture of China. These cultures take up residence in your brain by way of books, films, advertisements, and short videos, and slowly corrode your life away. Over the past 100-odd years, China has undergone an immense transformation of concept and thought. Traditional China is being devoured bit by bit, and a great many things are vanishing. The traditional clan and the rural community are vanishing. The order of seniority and the traditional master-disciple system are vanishing. Loyalty and affection are vanishing. The traditional rites and the character peculiar to the Chinese are vanishing. Even the elegant phrasing used to write letters in the film has already perished and disappeared from real life. Over the past several decades, because of the forceful invasion of Coca-Cola, Toyota, Disney, and Microsoft, because of the flooding tide of individualism, liberalism, and consumerism, traditional Chinese culture has been gradually dissolving and collapsing. That traditional China, with its whisked tea, its zither playing, its listening to the rain, its offerings of flowers and fruit upon the scholar's desk, with its several thousand-year spirit of mutual aid and chivalric righteousness is gradually vanishing from sight. Some years ago I shared in a group chat several photographs of ancient Chinese Hanfu, and many people, astonishingly, did not recognize it and took it for Japanese clothing. They no longer even recognize the garments of their own ancestors. This is, in truth, not their fault. We have been forcibly cut off from our own culture for far too long. I also heard a newly minted opinion, which holds that Jin Yong's martial arts fiction is already out of date, that the children of the new era no longer care to read Jin Yong. This is no surprise. According to the extremely self-centered educational philosophy of many modern people, the children they raise will only become a Yang Kang, only become a Song Qingshu or a Ding Minjun, and will never become a Jiang Wuji or a Guojing. In their eyes, Jiang Wuji and Guojing are probably the very emblems of foolishness. From the founding of the East India Company in 1600, Western culture began its invasion of China, and over the past 100-odd years traditional Chinese culture has been continuously devoured by a short-sighted and utilitarian Western culture, devoured by the likes of Voltaire, Bentham, and Diderot, devoured by the liberal conception of rights that speaks only of rights and never of duties, devoured by extreme individualism and utilitarianism, devoured by consumerism and social Darwinism, devoured by the market logic of capitalism and the commodification of all things, devoured by scientism and the worship of technology, devoured by secularization and vulgarization, devoured by a law that has made itself into a mere instrument of the self, devoured by emotional value and the supremacy of the individual. Over the past 100-odd years, we have been stripped of the traditional Eastern aesthetic, stripped of refined elegance and of negative space, stripped of restraint and reticence, stripped of the sense of shame and of moral duty, stripped of responsibility and of the scholar's backbone, stripped of our traditional culture of food and drink, stripped of the trust and affection between one person and another, stripped of empathy and of the heart that wishes to help others until, in the end, for many people all that remains in life are animal needs, the exchange of interests, the monetizing of internet traffic, and sensory stimulation, with not a shred of trust even in the most intimate of relationships. We do not believe in affection, do not believe in ideals, do not believe that there exists in the world any unselfish person, do not believe in the Buddha or in the sages, and every one of us is paying the price for this, because once we assume that everyone might harm us, we must endure a long and unremitting nervous tension. We are at every moment in a state of low-grade defensiveness. Because we treat everyone as a bad person, We must endure the estrangement and mutual distrust within even our most intimate relationships. Must bear the exceedingly high transaction costs that a low-trust society brings, and this breeds in us an ever stronger self-defense and a contraction of the personality, which in turn aggravates our nervous tension all the more. Because everyone is being taught to love themselves, everyone grows ever more concerned with themselves, and traditional East Asian women like Xi Nanzhi and Yi Shurao grow ever rarer. What you see instead are countless people seizing profit under the signboard of marriage, harming others while at the same time harming themselves. Because we must presuppose that everyone will hurt us, we seal ourselves away, keep our distance from others, neither giving nor communicating. And the less we give and communicate, the less we know how to love and how to communicate with others, until in the end all our relationships are destroyed by this presupposition. This is the most evil thing about the devil. He will not say directly that you do not need this relationship, that you do not need this person. He will say that this person does not truly love you, that at the very least they do not love you 100%, and so you need not truly love them either, that if you give too much you will easily be hurt, that you must first protect yourself. Under the banner of protecting you, he makes you destroy, for the sake of protecting yourself, all your most precious relationships. He makes you feel that no one can be trusted, makes you feel that even those as close as parents and children will sometimes only look out for themselves, makes you imagine that this is the lucid clear-sightedness of one who has seen through everything in this human world, and in the end he casts you into a state of isolation without any aid. His most cunning stroke is to exploit humanity's most basic insecurity, to use this crevice to pry open and enlarge the distrust between us, to strengthen our consciousness of self-preservation. For every one of us loves ourselves most, and every one of us is hemmed in by insecurity. Your parents are no exception, and so in their interactions with you they will conjecture, will doubt, will probe, will protect themselves, will shrink back, and will at times bare their teeth and brandish their claws. And all these acts of self-protection, all this love grounded in the self and in selfishness, in the friction it generates through interaction with you, is interpreted by your own self as a sign that they do not love you. But what you must understand is that we cannot hold ordinary beings to the standard of a saint. Most human beings cannot possibly love another with undivided singleness of heart, cannot possibly be absolutely selfless. Even those who love you most must reserve a little space for themselves. They are bound by causes and conditions, bound by culture, dignity, misgivings, and considerations of interest. They cannot possibly let go entirely, and still less can they cast all caution aside. The love our parents bear us may look very clumsy, may make you feel ashamed, may make you feel invaded and trapped and unfree, may make you very uncomfortable. That is because they too are ordinary beings, because they have their fears and their expectations, because many of them are merely minors who have the appearance of adults. They too are groping and learning, and the best they can manage is to love you as they love themselves, but they too must reserve some space to love themselves, for after all they are not saints. Though they do not love you 100%, they love you at least 95%, and yet even this cannot satisfy us. This dissatisfaction gives the devil a fulcrum, by which he can pry open and overturn your relationship. In traditional East Asian society, whether between parents and children or between lovers and spouses, the expression of love is usually very reserved, and this reserve gives the devil his best opening. So the devil will exploit this point, exploit that little crevice of their self-love, exploit that little crevice of their selfishness to make you feel that the other person does not love you 100%. And then he will magnify this less than 100% love into they do not love you at all. The devil tells you that in fact they do not love you in the slightest. Otherwise, why would they not say so aloud? It is only those who wear their love on the very surface, who shout their love at the top of their voice, who put on the most ardent display, who truly love you. A few days ago I saw a piece of news. A black man was shopping at a supermarket in Zhejiang, and after he had finished his purchases he said to the young woman who owned the shop, "I love you. I really want to be with you. As far as I know, many black men in China like to do this sort of thing. They probably say words like this to at least 10 or more women every day, because their goal in life is to go to bed with as many foolish women who believe in this as possible. And there really will be fools stupid enough to believe this is love, to admire a love like this. Compared to this cheap swindler's love, traditional Eastern love looks very bland. It does not flaunt itself, springs no surprises, lacks passion, cannot continuously supply emotional value to the self, and still less can it continuously feed the self full. So in their eyes, the love that is shouted aloud is love, and the love that provides intense stimulation and sends dopamine surging is love, while that traditional, reserved, East Asian kind of love is not love. This East Asian man's love, and this East Asian parental love, have for the past several decades been subjected to ceaseless criticism and contempt. You are told that this parental love is not love, that it is control, extraction, possession, a transaction, and that the Western kind is what love really is, that relationship in which, so as not to brush against each other's dragon scales, the two parties have no dealings with each other to the end of their days. That is what is called love. Just as in Breaking Bad, from start to finish you never once see Mr. White's mother appear on screen. They never so much as mention her. They do not care how she is faring, do not care whether she is lonely, and never once invite her to visit. It is as though she were already dead, and yet she does exist, sitting alone in a wheelchair in some nursing home, watching the setting sun. And the love of an East Asian man like Zheng Musheng, which can provide neither companionship nor emotional value nor much money, was long ago tossed into the trash by many modern women. Even if you are not the likes of Zheng Musheng, even if you are very accomplished and have no need to sail south to the Nanyang and pull a rickshaw, you will in all likelihood still be spurned for not loving her 100%, because in a marriage no one can possibly satisfy the other 100%. Not only in marriage, born into this world, nothing will satisfy you 100%. This is the universal condition of humanity. But many modern women generally do not understand this. They have been fed a great many mistaken ideas by social media, and the devil will from time to time whisper in their ears, telling them that their unhappiness is because they married the wrong man, because there is no money, and not because this is the universal condition of humanity. And so they believe that there exists a person who loves them 100%, that there exists a happy marriage, and that it is only that they themselves have not yet encountered it. What they want is that wholly non-existent species of creature, the one who can both provide emotional value and earn a great deal of money, and at every moment seize upon and interpret every shift in their mood. Such a person does of course exist, but they are all swindlers. The women, however, do not know this, and so they will feel that such a person exists, that such a life exists, and that the reason you cannot provide such a life is that you do not truly love her, do not love her with your whole heart, and therefore fail to notice the subtle shifts in her mood and cannot sustain the warmth of your love for her. Because you do not love her, she need not love you either. She must prepare all manner of defenses to ensure that she can go on living perfectly well even without you. She has been educated into extreme selfishness and self-enclosure. She cannot see at all the things you must face every day, cannot see the things you must consider. She sees only that you do not revolve around her 24 hours a day and do not say sweet words to coax her. By the time the devil's plan has progressed to this point, there is no longer any affection left in your marriage. There remains only pretense, perfunctory going through the motions, deception, scheming, and a floor strewn with chicken feathers. This is the influence of Western culture upon your life. This is the change wrought upon your life by the likes of Thomas Hobbes, Machiavelli, Simone de Beauvoir, Ayn Rand, and Voltaire. As human beings, our character and our ways of thinking are all shaped by culture, and most of the time we are entirely insensible of this shaping. So if such a culture continues to be in vogue in China, continues to occupy our brains, then even people like Yi Shurao and Zi Nanzhi may well, in the future, Turn into people whose mouths are full of emotional value and whose desires are a bottomless pit. To turn the most beautiful of people into the most unbearably vulgar of people. This is one of the greatest tragedies of humanity. From roughly the beginning of the 19th century, traditional Chinese culture began to face large-scale slaughter and devouring at the hands of Western culture. By today, the mechanism of mutual trust that belonged to traditional society has been almost entirely wiped out. We have developed to the point of assuming that everyone is a swindler. In this Voltaire, Hobbes, Locke, and Bentham have all rendered conspicuous service. Because you feel that everyone has the potential to harm you. Everyone is assuming that everyone else is a bad person. And in the end every one of us has become a victim of this notion. All of us chewing and swallowing its bitter fruit. Fortunately, the Chaosian region still preserves the way China once was. Still preserves the culture of former times. They have been influenced least by this culture. They have their Yingzhi dance. Their worship of the Sun Lord that commemorates the Sea Battle of Yashan, their Yingchuan ancestral lineages. I often come across Chaosian videos on Douyin, and in their eyes there is the gentle warmth and the firm resolve of the traditional Chinese. So I am very glad to have seen, in early summer, a film like A Love Letter to Grandma. I have watched many films before, but I always felt that the people portrayed in them did not look much like Chinese people. Not like the Chinese people of my most ancient memory, whereas this film portrays Chinese people. It is a Chinese story. The China of the past had crafty heroes like Cao Cao, had men like Ho Jing and Zhu Wen, had born recluses like Ling Huchong and Zhang Wuji, and had great sages and worthies like Zhuangzi, Huning, Mazu Daoyi, and Gishan Linggaya, but most numerous of all were ordinary people like Zi Nanzhi and Yi Shurao. It was they who raised up the people who carved the Longmen grottos, who raised up the people who made the Ruware porcelain and the Luan melon seed tea, who raised up the sixth patriarch and Zhuangzi, and from this was born the greatest of civilizations.